it's Levon. Welcome back to my channel and to Step by Step. I'm enjoying some lovely fall weather right now, and I am working with some Jami vintage stencils today, so I'm thrilled to have them. I love the quality of these stencils, and I would love someday to be a distributor or a wholesaler for them, and that's probably on my 2021 goals. But I'm doing this table today, and I'm using the grain sack stripe stencil and also the script font. So I'm prepping this table, and normally I don't sand when I use chalk mineral paint from Dixie Belle, but it had a little bit of a rough spot, so I just wanted to sand that smooth. And also I used white lightning cleaner, and here I am rinsing it. So white lightning cleaner and water gets it ready for paint. I'm using fluff, Dixie Belle's fluff, and I was a little concerned with bleed through, but I think this table's probably maple, but I had a little bit on the first coat, and I thought if I needed to, I would come back and put a coat of the Boss on, but I also wanted to distress the table, so in the areas that it was showing, I thought we would be okay, and it turned out we were. I flipped this table and did the legs because I thought there's no reason. I did both coats and all the distressing before I even flipped it. So here I am after I sprayed some Easy Peasy spray wax. I'm using grunge gray wax with a real small stencil brush to put some detail where we need it. And then I'm just wiping it back. Just gives it that look of age. I love Dixie Belle's fluff. It's such a pretty color. I can't wait to finish this part so I can get to the fun part of doing the stenciling on the top. If you wanted to, you could use a baby wipe and just go back on that a little and actually pull some of the original color to do a wet distress. Here I am going around the tabletop. This is the second coat, and I'm kind of going in the opposite direction that I painted before. So now it is good to go and ready for some fun. So I measured before I started. So again, I'm using the grain sack stripe from JRV Stencils, or Jami Vintage. I recommend you watch Jami Vintage channel. I certainly do. I'm enjoying the renovation on their farmhouse that they are doing. They bought a house and they added on to it. So it's just amazing, and I am enjoying every step of it. So probably too much. Anyway, you guys, Jami and Zeb, I certainly enjoy you, and I'm now enjoying your stencils. So I'm using Dixie Belle's Vintage Duck Egg, and I am using too small of a stencil brush. As a matter of fact, JRV Stencils has a great line of brushes. So next, that's on my shopping list. Yes, I really do need to become a wholesaler. But this brush was kind of old, and the bristles were a little bit splayed out. With this stencil, you might want to tape it down a little bit more just because of all the little stripes. Unless you're using a bigger brush, definitely don't want to swirl the paint with this one. You definitely want to pounce. But because my brush was so weird, I got a lot of little weird lines. But when you stencil, you want to make sure you offload as much paint as you possibly can. And as far as the weird lines go, it was certainly easily corrected. I used some fluff and went back and touched up a few places, and in the rest I just sanded it because it's a very vintage rustic look. This tabletop to me ended up looking like a dish towel, and that's exactly what I wanted. Or a grain sack, I suppose. That's the namesake of the stripe, is a grain sack stripe. But I just love it because to me it's a dish towel. So this is custom piece for a client she brought in, and she wanted, she just told me basically what she wanted, and I suggested an initial, and then I thought about these fantastic stencils that I have. These stencils are laser cut, so you're always going to get a crisp image, and they're also really nice and thick. So if you want to do a raised stencil with them, go right ahead. They're great quality. So I'm just pulling this up, and from a distance it looks fantastic, and I was kind of like inspecting after I pulled it up just to see where I was with things. So it took me a few minutes to get my bearings, but then I am just repositioning it on the end there, and you notice I put it right back down because you're using such little paint when you stencil that it dries so quickly. So I was able to go right over what I already did and just repeating the process. And you know, when you offload that paint, I always go back into the middle of the largest portion of my stencil to even further offload some of the residual paint that's on the brush. Fun. Stenciling is so much fun. I have a couple other of JRV stencils, and I can't wait to get some more. I have the Let's Stay Home, and I have Christmas Truck, and I forget what else I have, but I just love them. They're such great quality. This is relaxing. It really is. So after I put the big stripe in the middle, I did take it down over the edges, and I decided to also run a smaller triple stripe on the two sides. So I measured 8 inches from the middle stripe to do the smaller ones. So here I'm using the script font, and these are all lowercase letters, and they're really cute. So in this case, my customer's name is Denise, so I am spelling out her name. And at first I thought I'd run it across the stripe, and then I decided it should run with the grain of the stripe. One suggestion that I know Zeb and Jami made, and I definitely see that it's helpful: take a Sharpie and identify each of those letters before you get started. It will make your life so much easier than to try to look through a piece of clear plastic. The letters are really unique. They're not all conventional, so sometimes it takes a second to figure out which one's which. So I kept them in order, and I'll be going back and using a Sharpie to identify them. Once again, I measure because Denise is 6 letters, so I had to consider that between the N and the I would be the middle point. If you have a word with odd letters, then you can make the middle letter your middle. So it's just kind of important for balance. And I just kind of laid it on there and just kind of eyeballed the space from the top of the stencil to the top of the stripe. Once I got started, it was real easy. And I am using a smaller brush, and I'm using Dixie Belle's Caviar, and using the same technique of offloading the brush and just pouncing it. You can get away with swirling a little bit more with these letters as opposed to the stripe, because the stripes are such little lines in between that you risk moving the stencil. So it's just a little tip there. So once you start stenciling, you'll understand, but the biggest tip is to get most of the paint off the brush. That's the biggest thing. So yes, I am starting with the middle. I am starting, I think, with the N. So just kind of going back and forth on either end. You want to lift your stencil straight up. And it's kind of hard to see, and I'm going to bring you in close here in a second. I get so involved. I kind of wanted to make them connect, so I think that's important to do. I always feel like a doctor whenever I'm on my little stool working on something, especially when I have to wear a mask. So today's Halloween. Happy Halloween. We're doing a little sale in our store and handing out some treats. And I'm also doing a live demo on the redesign with Prima Page tonight. Busy. I'm glad to be back doing step-by-step videos for furniture painting now that our grand reopening is over. So this is a process, and it doesn't take long at all. You see, it's just minutes. Seems a long time whenever I'm just talking to you, but really, it doesn't take very long at all. There we go. Let's come in a little closer. See, I have my mask hanging down. So we have the E, the N, and the I now. So now I'm going to put the D on. The D is really neat because it's very big and flourished with a little loop. It's just different. So now that it's all done, I'm going back over everything and I'm sanding. And it really gives it a look like it's a grain sack or a tea towel. That's just, the colors are ingrained into each other. And you'll notice when you sand that some of the paint kind of flakes off, so you want to make sure you wipe that off before you do anything else, like wax it. Just kind of getting rid of those little flakes of paint. I just love this. To me, it's just so fresh looking. I already sent my client a picture and she loves it too, so I'm happy about that. This is Easy Peasy Spray Wax from Dixie Belle, and I'm just spraying that on. You always want to make sure you shake it first and then wipe it back. And then I used some grunge gray wax to give it some detail around the edges. With the legs, I had a lot of opportunity to put some grunge gray in the detail areas. With this one, not so much because it's a flat surface, so I'm just basically going around the edges. Although when I was done, I did go back in and put a few little spots, spontaneous little areas to make it look sort of like a little wood grain. So I think you can see that in the picture. So I just love this little project, and I'm happy that my client does too. And I really am glad that you watched today. I want to thank you so much. And I really hope you go over to Jami Ray's channel. I will definitely link it in the description box. And again, thanks for watching. And please visit us on the website at lavintagedecor.company. And also on Instagram, we're La Vintage Decor. And on Facebook, we're La Vintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.